taping Richard Street on Toymore, and just wrote a documentation saying that he gives me the right and the permission to write, read, and edit all the information about his story that he has to tell regarding the temptations. True?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, first of all, we want to, I guess, basically do some highlights. So, about the overall part of what you're going to talk about in the book. So, okay, if you want to start back to the beginning days, I mean, what are some of the most highlights to get it started when you became a part of it before it was the Temptations?
Okay.
So, I mean, did you guys, like, how long did you guys are going to talk, that's going to be one of the highlights, is talking about what you guys did before you were the Temptations. And then after that, we're going to talk about, okay, basically, why weren't you a member of when the Temptations actually became, quote unquote, the Temptations. That's going to be another part of what we're going to talk about. And then another part, you said you mentioned something about working with Diana. Was it Diana?
That was during the beginning when we weren't known as anything. Neither one of us, Diane or Tips, that was like high school.
Okay.
Yeah, she's my sweetheart.
Okay, so that was when you guys was growing up.
Mary, Diane, and Florence lived in the projects, and Melvin and I used to go over to Diane's house and rehearse. Diane, Mary, and Florence, and Smokey Robertson's guitar player, Mark Hoplin. He would play the guitar for us while we would go over some songs before we became the Supremes. And also during that time, Melvin and I were in a group that consisted of, we had called ourselves the Imperials until, found out Little Hampton Imperials was out. But it consisted of, it was Melvin and myself, two other guys, and a young lady named Barbara Martin, who later became the fourth Supreme. Yeah, when they made butter popcorn. Starting back then, basically we would like, Melvin and I were like, and the rest of them, we would go in the neighborhood, especially around Christmas time, because, we were all teenagers, we had no job, didn't nobody had no money, and stuff like that, so we'd go in the neighborhood and knock on the doors and sing Christmas carols to all the shut-in people and the people who couldn't get out and people in wheelchairs and, less fortunate than we were. And we'd also go in the neighborhood, in our own neighborhoods, and sing, and they would give us quarters, 50 cents, $1, hot chocolates, donuts. And we did that long enough till after we got through, we'd have enough money to buy our mothers a Christmas present. Okay. Yeah, and we started doing that, and then right about that time, Melvin ran into Otis. Yeah, that's the time we met Otis. Melvin had been staying with me for about 2 years. We found out that his real father, we had always wondered who his real father was, because the father that he had, his name was Franklin. So that's why Melvin's name was Melvin Franklin in the beginning, until we found out later on that his real father was named English. But anyway, Mr. Franklin was kind of mean. So he didn't want Melvin singing, and he didn't want Melvin doing this and that and the other. So Melvin couldn't take no more, so he came to live with me. So during that time, he had ran into Otis, and Otis had heard him on this record called Needed by the Voice Masters. He was doing some bass. It was part 1 and part 2 of the song called Needed. And he asked Melvin, was he interested in about singing in the group? And Melvin said, well, I don't know, you have to go home and ask my mother, because, she's giving me permission to do everything I do. So he went and did that, and he called me on the phone and said, hey, listen, I ran to a guy named Otis, and at the time, you might be too young to remember this, but it was a guy named Otis Williams who had a record out. And I thought that's who he was talking about, this guy Otis Williams that had a record out, until I met Otis. And he told me, no, I'm not the guy, I said, oh, I thought you was the guy who had the record out. So we formulated the group, and it was called Otis Williams and the Distance.
And how old were you guys?
We were still teenagers.
So in high school? Oh, junior high school?
Yeah. Junior high school. Okay. Yeah, junior high school at 13, 14, and then it elevated to high school. We made local records, you know, in the neighborhood, just like in Detroit, Chicago. We can go no further than Detroit, Chicago, but...
You guys put up your own money, or did somebody help you guys?
This lady named Johnny Mae Matthews. And we made a record called Come On, which had this guy named Popcorn Wiley. He was playing the keyboards. James Jameson was the bass player. He was playing the upright bass. Norman Whitfield was the tambourine player. He was beating on the tambourine. And they had several other guys that formulated this one. It was about 9 of us. We were singing while they were playing, and 9 of us stood around a microphone. We had 3 girls who were singing background with us, plus the group, plus the lead singer, and it was a 2-track. And you know, if you flushed the toilet in the bathroom while somebody was recording, that would go on to the tape, right? You know, so we did, well, you know, we did that for a while, and well, just expedited this move up to the time and went to Motown. What happened? The reason why I didn't go with them to Motown is because during that time, about 2 years, we actually weren't doing anything. You know, we would rehearse sometimes. We didn't have no jobs or nothing like that. We would rehearse periodically, and basically, my mother was kind of sick, so I had to get a job. You know, so soon after I had got a job, about 3 months later, Eddie Kendricks and Paul Williams joined Otis Melvin and these 2 other guys named Al. So they took, actually Paul took my place, and this other guy, Eddie, took this other guy's place who was named Albert Bryan. Albert Bryan, and I forget the other guy's name. His name was Al something. Oh, I can't think of it right now. But they became the Temptations, and I went to work in a nightclub Thursday through Sunday. I put the microphone between my legs, and I would play by ear. I had 4 pieces that was with me, and it was Thursday through Sunday. $400 a week. I mean, back in those days, like $400 a week was like, wow, you know. That was real good money, you know. And I got to know all the so-called funk brothers, which funk brothers were the rhythm section during the 60s and 70s that would record every song that Motown was making. You know, I got to meet all those guys, you know what I mean? Like, we were really, really tight and really, really close. And it was a beautiful beginning to that. I worked at Motown as a quality control evaluator, which meant that every song that was recorded would come into my office, and I'd have a little speaker, I'd have a medium-sized speaker, then I'd have some big speakers, and then I'd have some speakers that were on the wall, and I had to like play all 4 of these one at a time to hear the clarity of the song, if I could understand the words, if the music was too loud or needed some more drums, and it was trained my ear to listen for recordings. So during that time I wrote a song called Can You Do It for the Contours that went to number 5 in the nation at that time. And that's the first time I ever wrote a song in my life, and it went to number 5 in the nation, which was really, I mean, it startled me because I didn't know that there was that kind of money to be made out there. I kept doing that. I did that for from 1961 to about 1968. And during that time, when the Temptations were making records, when they would come home, if anybody didn't show up, or whatever the case may be, they would call me, and I'd come and sing background to whatever songs that they were recording on. If it was David, if it was Eddie, if it was Paul, whoever was missing during 61 to 68, I was involved in all of that, you know. I did that, and I got like, let me see if this is right, background singer. I think I got was it, $6.50. That's what it was. $6.50 to be a background singer, you know?
An hour?
No, for the whole thing. Yeah, for the whole thing, you know, I got $6.50, you know. I mean, I was backgrounding for everybody, okay? And
So were the Temps the only ones you background for?
no, I formulated a group of my own called the Monitors, you know, which consisted of Warren Harris, Maurice Fagan, and Sandra Fagan, his wife. And there's three guys and a girl, and we had a record at that time in 1966 or 65, just after the Vietnam War broke out. We came out with this song called "Greetings, This Is Uncle Sam," and all the soldiers loved the record. I mean, I hated the record because I didn't want to get drafted no way, but it started off, you know, "Greetings, this is Uncle Sam. I want to take you to the far off land. I need you. I need you." You know, and was talking on the end, "Come on, boy, your mama's a long ways off." You know, I mean, but it was a very big record, and it got us work with Smokey. We worked a long time with Smokey. We got on the Motown review shows and stuff, you know, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight, Marvin Gaye, Mary Wells. I mean, you name it, back in them days, we were on all those kind of shows with all those people. And I kept the faith. It taught me while I had the group, I was the leader of the Monitors, and it taught me that in order to be a leader, if anything was wrong in the group, or if anybody needed some money or whatever have you, they would always send me to talk to Motown, you know. Hey, it had been several times when I was just able to get enough money for them because they needed it, and I didn't get anything from Motown at all. But I got enough to always take care of the groups. But we could always work at this club called the Swans Club in Detroit Thursday through Sunday. That's where I had my first job at, you know. So, I mean, it taught me, during that period of time, it taught me what it was to be a leader of men and women, you know. I mean, you had to be fair, you had to be honest, you had to be upfront, you had to share everything. And I done jumped ahead of myself because basically before all this happened, what I was telling you about, the period that Melvin and I was singing for the people in the neighborhood, I became an All-American basketball, baseball, and football player in the state of Michigan. Okay. That was my first love. I mean, I was in love with doing that, and that's what I thought I was going to become, was a sports player. But I found out, I learned how to play the piano by playing the song called "Your Precious Love" by Jerry Butler, which was in the key of C, and it was just over and over again. And every Sunday, I'd go around to this great big old house that had all these older people in it. Some would like be in wheelchairs, some would like be on crutches, and so they would all sit around me by the piano, and for about 3 hours, I would play the same song over and over again, and when I got through, you know, they would really applaud. So I figured, I said to myself, well, if I can do that, maybe I can learn something else and by ear and get me a little band together. That's how I got my first job in the nightclub. I was 13 years old. You know, I was 13 playing in a nightclub when you wasn't supposed to be in the bar unless you were 21 years old. You know, I mean, after I would get through with my set, I would have to go downstairs in the basement and wait till it was time to do the next set because I couldn't sit up at the bar. I couldn't buy any drinks. I was just totally too young.
Is that what the group, the
Monitors? That was what the
And that's
Monitors.
during the time that the Temptations had actually formed?
That was during the time the Temptations
that
had
they were
actually
formed.
formed.
Okay, so right now we're going to touch a few things here and there, so let's go on up. So when did you
come back, right?
Yeah, okay. I know you mentioned
come.
something about you did background on stage and stuff as well.
Well, that's when I came back to the group.
Okay.
That was to the Temptations, 1969.
So they were so at that time you said it was 1969.
Mm-hmm. 69.
Okay, so at that